Welcome to the Project Fitness podcast for fitness professionals and fitness enthusiasts who want to be better at life. Fitness is the greatest investment of anyone's life. However, it's not easily obtained, and anyone who says different is just plain wrong. Join award-winning personal trainer and strength conditioning coach Chris Fudge every Monday as he explores all aspects of fitness that can lead you to your optimal health. If you want to learn useful, practical how-tos of weight loss, exercise science, nutrition, or just how to optimize your time in the gym and life, this show is for you. Welcome to another episode of the Project Fitness podcast. This is episode number 27. I can't believe we got to 27 episodes in such a short amount of time. My number one goal was to actually just do 52 episodes over a year, so that's one episode a week. And here we are, we've exceeded 5,000 downloads so far. We're on the 27th episode. And some more exciting news is we actually have a sponsor for the show. The sponsor is called Supplement Pro. Supplement Pro is a supplement protocol company. So they customize medical grade supplementation protocols to help support people for their training, their athletic performance, their recovery, sleep, rest, weight loss, weight gain, etc., etc. What's really cool about them is they will actually customize a protocol for you based on different supplements. So they're not tied to one specific brand. They have affiliates with multiple brands. So what you do is you put down what your goals are, and they put together a protocol they feel best suit your goals based on different brands of supplements. You can use those by going to the website we now have. It is projectfitness.ca. You can go into the Work With Me tab and then follow the Supplement Pro guideline. Click the button there and then just write in, what are you looking for to get out of supplementation for your training? And they follow up with different protocols. It's pretty cool. I've had different offers to have different sponsors for this show so far. As much as I've appreciated some of the other ones, I feel like this one just makes the most sense for anyone involved with fitness. I mean, at one point there was someone offering pizza, and I'm not going to lie, I took one and I ate it and it was delicious, but I just don't think it actually flows with the premise of the show. So that's where we're starting off. But in this 10-minute how-to, it is how to motivate yourself. With what's been going on in the world in the last while, motivation has dropped. And I've seen it within my own clientele to the point where I had to address it large group. With this episode, we're going to talk about what is motivation, where does it come from, why aren't you motivated, and then how to get motivated. I do these calls once a month with my group, these coaching calls. So I bring everyone on the call, and in the previous month, what I do is I tally up kind of some of the average issues that's going on with people. So it could be something along the lines of training specificity, where it could be everybody is struggling to get in their fourth workout, they're only getting in 3. Or it could be everyone is having difficulty on training with a mask because now it's COVID times. So I would identify all these consistencies, bring it up as a large group, and then go over it. So this past week I went over one and we talked a lot about motivation because a lot of people were losing motivation. So what is motivation? Motivation actually comes from our brain. It comes from a set of neurochemical networks that develop over time. Specifically, one chemical our brain releases called dopamine. Dopamine is just that. It is dope. It's a chemical that our brain produces from our reward system. It releases when we do things like eat flavorful foods, win the lottery, or have an orgasm. Pretty much everyone's perfect Friday night. Where does it come from? It comes from past experiences. So your body learns to produce dopamine to make you feel like you're gaining a reward. When does it start? Right from birth. Right from birth, our past experiences, which are our very first experiences, come as easy as infancy with mothers and breast milk. When we're babies and we start eating, the first thing we get is a shot of dopamine. Our brain tells our body, hey, you won. This is a good thing. You want this. What happens from there is we learn that when we need to eat and we get a shot of this reward, we're going to want to eat more regularly. Nature's not stupid. Nature knows that if we stop eating, things won't go well. So it puts something in our brain to say, you got to keep eating. So as we would then progress into hunters or gatherers, our body would say, we need to eat on a regular basis. So the brain is going to start actually shooting out little amounts of dopamine as we get closer to the concept of food. So it might be something as simple as a hunter is tracking an animal. And while tracking the animal, the first thing is they find a set of footprints. and the brain shoots out a little bit of dopamine. They then continue to track the animal, and they see it in a distance, a larger amount of dopamine hit. And then all of a sudden they kill the animal, they get the massive amounts of dopamine release. And they're like, this is the good stuff. So your body wants that on a regular basis. When it comes to dopamine and motivation, it is based on previous experiences and then anticipating experiences. So when you anticipate eating food, you get a little shot of dopamine. When you anticipate doing something in the gym, you get a little shot. I can give you an example of where motivation really started for me as a young fella. I remember going to the gym for the first time ever, and then my dad was giving me positive feedback. He saw me on the bike. He said, you're biking really good. You're going really long. I don't know how you bike so long. It was like 20 minutes. I was 12 years old. It wasn't very impressive. But my dad was saying it, or he was just doing it to pump me up. Regardless, I liked that feedback. And my body's like, hey, you're getting some rewards. You're getting positive affirmation from someone in your family. So what do you think I wanted to do the next time I went to the gym? I wanted more of that. So I would bike longer. And then I would anticipate getting more positive reinforcement from my dad about my ability to ride a bike. So I would go longer and longer and longer. That's why motivation is phenomenal for getting people started. It always gets you started because you think of what's to come and you base it on previous experiences you had at one time already. Why aren't you motivated? Why people aren't motivated could be a handful of different reasons, but these come to mind. One is a lack of support for the internal motivators. What I mean by that is when someone has internal motivation, for example, they're going to the gym, they want to lose 30 pounds. At one point in time, they were probably 30 pounds lighter. So they have a previous experience of what it felt like to be 30 pounds lighter, and they want to go back to that. There's the past experience. So they go into the gym and they do a couple workouts, and guess what? They have not lost 30 pounds. So how are they going to get that hormonal response? How are they going to get that affirmation that what they're doing is correct? Well, they're thinking about the 30 pounds. What they need to do is they need to have a support system on the outside or an external driver that meets the internal driver. So the best way to sustain motivation is to support it with the right kind of external feedback. So for me as a young kid on the bike, if I got, my dad saying, good job, every time I went on the bike, I could continue on. If I wasn't getting it every workout, I would feel the need to do something else. So for anyone who lacks motivation, they're just not getting that feedback that they want. Instead of focusing on 30 pounds, except that 1 pound weight loss is 1 out of 30. The small steps, the incremental steps, be aware it's a process. Why is this so much harder today than maybe it's been 20, 30 years ago? Because of delayed gratification. A lot of people struggle with delayed gratification. They want everything now. They want things today. They don't want to wait. And it's not their fault. That's the society we live in. We live in a very comfortable society. Right now where I am, if it's too hot, I'm going to go pop a window. If it's too cold, I'm going to crank up the heat. I can control those factors. If we go back to our beginnings, if it's too cold outside, I better build some shelter or I'm going to freeze to death. If it's too hot outside, I better find some water or some shade to dive into or I'm going to overheat. So the drivers then were a little bit different than the drivers now. Now we can get anything we want at any time. If I'm hungry now, I could go to my fridge and fill my gullet with whatever I want. Ooh, but what if what I want's not in my fridge? What if what I want is at a convenience store? What if it's at a restaurant? What if I want a McDonald's McFlurry, M&M, score flavored, delicious? I don't even have to go to McDonald's anymore. I can pick up my cell phone. I can hop on the app. I can get Uber Eats to deliver a McFlurry to my house. How crazy is that? There is no delayed gratification. There's none needed. So it makes sense when people are striving towards fitness, health-related goals, if they're not seeing them overnight, they're going to lose motivation. So how do we get motivated? One of the easiest ways is to rely on other characteristics. One being willpower. Every morning you wake up and you have a little bit of willpower in some form. You ever wake up in the morning and just crave Cadbury mini eggs or you crave chocolate? Not really, but as the day goes on, you're more likely to. Why is that? Well, that is because you woke up in the morning with higher amounts of willpower and they deplete over time. Willpower depletes over time. This can be a result from mental exertion. So if you're having a day and you're at work and there's a big project going on and your brain is in all these different places, that can break down your willpower. If you are pulling a 16-hour shift at a job and you're on your feet and there's all this decision making going on, that can break down willpower. Research shows that willpower does go down as the day goes on. So utilizing willpower first thing in the morning will put you in a better position to be successful when it comes to fitness and health. So if you want to get a workout in, get it done early in the morning. If you want to eat clean, get it done early in the morning. If you want to lose weight, address those habits early in the morning. Prepare your food for the day so when your willpower is low, you only have food that's pre-made. A lot of people will buy food on the fly when their willpower is depleted. The next thing you can do to increase your motivation is increase your discipline. Discipline is one of the greatest characteristics we can have. Discipline creates freedom. If you have discipline with your money, you have financial freedom. If you have discipline with your nutrition, you have health. Motivation gets you going, but discipline is what keeps you going. It's the reason why we brush our teeth every day. It's a formed habit over time. When we were kids, we did not want to brush our teeth, but we did it. Now it is standard. We are disciplined enough to brush our teeth. The last thing that you want to do is you want to develop your grit. Grit is doing the things that is uncomfortable. Grit is when you have no desire to do something, but you do it anyway. Grit is being uncomfortable. Grit is the difference between average people and exceptional people. The exceptional people will thrive in grit-like situations because they've had them over time. As a parent, it's hard for me to sit back and not give everything to my kids that I can. I can give them junk food all the time. I can afford it. I can have them go to luxurious schools. I can give my kids the greatest toys, the best video games, all that jazz. I have the option to give that to them. But I choose not to. Why? Because of discipline. I want my kids to develop some form of grit. The only way you can develop grit is to put yourself in those situations. Here's a simple story I have about grit. When I was in my early 20s, I was in post-secondary schooling, I was in debt, and I remember that I wanted to continue on and do more schooling, but I just had to take care of some of that money. So for one specific summer, I worked 3 jobs. I was the director of a camp, I then worked part-time at the grocery store, and I also worked as a trainer. So I would literally get up in the morning, I would go to one job, I would do that for 8 hours, I would have 30 minutes before I had to go start my other job. A few nights a week, I would then work overnights. I'd work in 8 to 6 and then I'd start work the next day at 8 a.m. I knew that that was not a way to live forever. I knew it was going to be detrimental to my health. I remember working something like 40 some days in a row, but I knew I had to accumulate a certain amount of money to continue on to do what I wanted later, which was more post-secondary schooling. So for that one summer, I just worked hard and I worked a lot. Again, knowing it was not going to be realistic to do forever, but I had to do it at that time. There's a difference between wanting to do something and having to do something. When you're in a situation where you have to do something, grit is developed. If you want to increase motivation, just remember this. Motivation gets you started. Willpower gives you bumps, but it depletes as the day goes on. Discipline is what keeps you going, and grit is developed in those times of being uncomfortable. And the best part about grit is it's just like a muscle. It can be trained and developed. Never stop learning because life never stops teaching. If you've learned at least one thing from this podcast and your mission is to help other people, please share this podcast with them. And a reminder, we will be releasing one episode every Monday for the entire year. So make sure to hit subscribe so you get the updated information as soon as possible. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, and thank you so much for allowing me to be part of it.